always live and always wild. Welcome to the Africam show, everybody. It's a pleasure to take you across our different cams for the next 45 minutes, and we're starting off here at Old Donyo. If this is the first time that you're joining us or you're new to the Africam community, welcome on board. We love to have new people to get to know and also to share our enthusiasm for wildlife with. So for the next 45 minutes, you will have me, Trishala. I'm your guide, and I'm able to answer any questions that you may have. We can have interesting discussions, whatever you like. So, and of course we can do that because we're live and interactive. So you can send through questions and comments. You can also send through hellos. Tell me how you're enjoying the Africam show today. I'll go first. If you don't hear me for a couple seconds, don't be worried. It's just that I'm probably having a coughing fit. I'm a little bit sick today. Nothing major, just like a good old-fashioned cold, you know, like how they used to be before COVID. A good old-fashioned cold. That's what I've got at the moment, and that's what it feels like. So if I sound a bit funny or you don't hear me for a few moments, just know that I'm still here. I'm just trying to save you from this very not nice wildlife sounds. Definitely a natural sound, but not a nice wildlife sound. So I do also have one of those like lozenges in my mouth. So if I sound weird, I'm really sorry, but I promise I'll still be able to answer your questions. And you know what? Every single time, whether I'm feeling a bit tired or down or even just a little bit sick before I come on and do the shows with all of you, I always feel better afterwards. So maybe I didn't need to do any of those little disclaimers I had to give you. But we'll see how it goes. But we've got hellos coming through already. Prairie Dog, you say hello. Prairie Dog, this is the first time I'm hearing your name on the Africam show. Are you new? If you are, welcome on board. Love to have you. Zygote, you say namaste Trishala. Namaste to you too, Zygote. Bridget McKinney, you say hi Trishala. You've got hot tea today. Oh, Bridget, that is exactly what I should be having. But alas, I have something else. It's called load shedding. So no boiling kettle. The electricity should be back just now, but a bit too late. If you're not familiar with what load shedding is in South Africa, it's power outages or scheduled power outages. And so mine has been off from about 2:10. It should come back sometime around now. But that means I couldn't boil the kettle. I know. Hot tea would have been great. Prairie Dog, you say Africam is awesome. Yay. Thank you. We love watching the cameras too. We love being able to give people the opportunity to witness and experience the magic of African wildlife, regardless of where you are in the world. Oh, Casper's Third Ghost, you have a long one here. You say, happy Tuesday all from Milwaukee. Hot coffee and homemade cinnamon roll ready and waiting. Old Donyo, which is the camera we're watching now, you say that Old Donyo has been so eventful, with a seriously injured hyena resting to then getting attacked by 2 male lions. Whoa, dead not 20 minutes later. Oh, no, he couldn't have been dead. Because then you say 20, oh, you think he was dead, and then no, 20 minutes later he sauntered away. That's hyenas for you, Casper's Third Ghost. Now, I remember seeing the striped hyena here at Old Donyo, and I mean, just to go off of what Casper's Third Ghost said there, this waterhole, it really can be so busy, so many exciting sightings, so many rare sightings. Of all the cameras that we have here at Africam, this is the only place that you are able to see a rare striped hyena, which is one of the reasons that I absolutely love this particular camera in this waterhole. So, Casper's Third Ghost, was it a striped hyena that you saw? Was it a spotty? Let us know. Sounds like a spotted hyena. And spotted hyenas, like many hyenas, but I have most of my experiences with spotted hyenas. I spent a lot of time learning about them and loving them. But they can be incredibly resilient. And that goes for all animals in the wild. I mean, just looking at this giraffe right now, it too is incredibly resilient. But I mean, I wouldn't like to compare animals in the bush. You know, each specific animal has their niche that they fill, the role that makes them an important part of that ecosystem. But when it comes to resilience, spotted hyenas, man, they are up there. They can come back from some really crazy stuff. Like you said, Casper's third ghost. Seriously injured, then attacked by male lions. You'd think that is, you know, it's the end of that hyena, and then he saunters away later. Not surprising. Not surprising. And then you also say, then this weekend, an adult peregrine falcon, which is your all-time favorite raptor, had appeared on this camera as well. So what a week! And you say, thank you, Africa. Thank you. Spending time watching. All those animals are around. It's just so nice to have more eyes in the bush, you know, so we can witness those crazy things. Aussie Jan 2, you say, good afternoon, time for a coffee. Oh yes. Wouldn't have expected anything else. Amber Co, you say, happy Tuesday to all. As you sit here with your coffee, you're ready to learn, and you wondered what might a typical day for guides look like. And thank you for all that we do. Ooh. Amber Co, let's think about that for a moment. Firstly, before we get into that, let's give this giraffe some acknowledgement. He's stunning, able to get a nice drink here. Now there is a hide quite close to where the camera is mounted, which is an area where people can go and shuffle into and be hidden from the view of animals, so they can watch the animals as they drink, but not generally be noticed by the animals. I can tell you that unless a hide was very far away, animals have always noticed me in a hide. Well, noticed people in a hide. Me specifically, if I'm alone, not really. So I think that's what's happening here. You see that the giraffe noticed something, had a drink, was a little tentative, noticed something, has now decided, And they can be quite cautious at a waterhole, but at El Donio they tend to be a little more gutsy. Maybe the hide has actually taught them that if there is a potential threat or something that is out of the ordinary, it doesn't mean that it's going to hurt you, so they continue to drink. At least that's how the behavior, or that's how it looks. They tend to be a little more daring here at Old Donio. So Ambico, you wanted to know, what does a day in the life of a guide look like? So for those of you who know much about me, you would know that my background is in natural sciences, and then I became a guide afterwards. And so while I do, it's very difficult to explain the way I was doing it in my head. So I don't often take paying guests out. And when I do, I must say, it's not my favorite thing in the world. But anyway, a typical day for us would look like waking up around 4 or 4:30 in the summer. If it's winter, it's kind of nice. You wake up at around 5:30, which is very reasonable. And if you have guests, this would be the time where you would go check your vehicle, make sure that everything is in order, make sure everything is clean, make sure that every guest has what they need. If it's a rainy day, then you would take ponchos, things like that. Then you would go and set up or collect all the things you need for your various drink stops. So maybe you'll, grab some coffee. Maybe there's some freshly baked things from the chef in the kitchen. You'll pack up all those nice goodies. You'll get your tracker ready, and then you'll go pick up your guests. And then off you go for a game drive for about 3 hours. Then when you come back from the game drive, if you've got guests, that is, you might need to sit with them for breakfast as their host. And then once they go back to their rooms for the obligatory post-safari nap, which is a must, of course, then you can relax a little bit too. But most of the time, it's not something you can count on. Because often you may have to go sort out something on the vehicle. You might have to fill fuel, sort out spare tires, little things like that that you may have to attend to as well. And the time goes pretty quickly. But what I like about the summer is that the time between game drives is a lot longer because there's more light, and we want to keep game drives at like the sunrise and the sunset time of the day. In the winter, because the days are shorter, that means that the time between game drives is also shorter, and it's a little difficult to get that obligatory nap in. And then it starts all over again in the evening, and then maybe you end the night with some dinner with your guests. Or maybe if your guests want to go to bed early after dinner, yeah, you could be around the fire with your staff members and your mates, listening to Toto Africa and drinking beers. Something like that, anyway. Suki V, you say, hello all, rain, rain, and rain here in Surrey. Oh, that doesn't sound very nice, Suki V. And I'm assuming that you mean that it's rain and cold, which is just a terrible combination. Terrible. Rainy and warm, I love that though. That's very bush-like. Kelly, you say, hello Trishala, good to be here again with coffee. I'm sure. We're all coffee lovers here on Africam. Mindy Tillipau says, giraffes, yay, your favorite. They are pretty stunning. And also, I think, probably one of the most unusual looking mammals. And when we think, or when we don't think about it, is we get so used to seeing giraffes. We know what a giraffe looks like. It's one of those things that, you know, from the time you're a very small child, because it is an unusual looking animal, by the time you're a small child, you know what a giraffe is. So you don't think about it too much, you know. But in the big scheme of things, a giraffe looks like nothing else, apart from an okapi, which it is related to. But that's it. It looks like nothing else. It's such an interesting outcome, evolutionary outcome. And there are so many adaptations. I think maybe if I think about why I like certain animals, it comes down to their different adaptations. Giraffes are obviously the tallest land animal, so that's one thing. They were able to grow to these massive heights, and they've got these two ossicones on the top of their heads. This really long neck, kind of like an elongated, or like a stretched out or any other kind of antelope, really. But so strange and so wonderful. We're at Vic Falls now. It looks like we have a kudu. Yes. There we go. Now this has been super interesting, this whole Victoria Falls thing. But I have not gotten through the comments and things as quickly as I anticipated. And because of that, I'm going to blame Amberco, lovingly, of course. So I had to get into the day of a guide. But let's get through them quickly so I can move down to the comments, and then we can continue to chat, and you can tell me a little bit more about what's been happening at Vic Falls and the Crocodile, because I know that a lot of you would have been keeping tabs on that. So if you joined us for Wild Moments on Thursday last week, Taylor and I, you would have, I mean, it was basically about the crocodile here and how he was attacking elephants. So if you have anything to add, extra clues perhaps, do let me know. But for now, let me get through these quickly. Bob from Kalamazoo, you say hello, Trishana from sunny Michigan. Whoop whoop. Very nice. Oh, there goes the croc. I would love it if we could see it happen right now, you know, with an elephant coming down. What? The croc's eating something? What do you have there? Croc is definitely got a kill. I don't know what it is. Whoa. He's quite a big croc. And come on, camera. I didn't notice that before when the kudu was just staring at it. And even like this, you can't notice it. But it's definitely got a kill. Jean Gale, you say good morning here with your coffee before Seattle sunrise. Nice. Love. April Owl, you say good morning from snowy Connecticut. Ooh, so many different climates going on, or weather. John Kling, you say hi, first time to this cam, coffee in hand, beautiful look at this giraffe, and thank you for joining us. Now we're down here, oh, you were looking at Eldonia when you sent through that comment. Now we're down at Victoria Falls, where a lot has begun to unfold over the last, like, 30 days, maybe even a little, I'll just say. I wonder if we could zoom out just a little bit to provide a bit more context of where we are and what we're looking at, where this crocodile can move to. That would be nice. And in the meantime, Bird Book, you say hi, Bird Book. And Amberco, you say thank you, Trish, wishing me a day of goodness and smiles too. Yay! Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, as I said, I'm going to be quiet for just a few seconds. Wow, I think that sometimes we underestimate the work that our voices do. But I can tell you that just from doing the Africam show in the last 20 minutes, I do feel better than I did earlier. And I think if there's anything that I would hope for all of you as viewers, of course I would love for you to be able to learn. But more than anything, I would love for you to feel better after you spend time watching the cameras. Whatever that means for you. Maybe it means you feel happier, maybe it means you feel more peaceful, whatever it is. That's what I hope for you. Oh no! We've had to leave Vic Falls, but that's okay. Hopefully we'll be getting back there so we can just have a look at what's going on. But we're watching some hippos. And I think I see a water picnic too. Sounds like we're at Olifant's River. Oh, did we not watch this exact same pair with the little youngster that kept moving around them previously? Let's see. The hippos are territorial, so you will see them in the same water body. So, for example, if uh, at least for territorial males, or established males, I should say, established males that have female offspring, that's his territory. So that's kind of nice. It's really nice to know which animals are territorial, which are nomadic, or have home ranges instead, because it can give you an idea of, in coming back to Amiko, your question about, a life of a guide, knowing those kinds of things can make your life as a guide, or as a normal citizen that's spending time in wild spaces, it can make your life easier, because territorial animals, they can be predictable where they're going to be. It can also tell you that if you see a male leopard in this particular area, then you know that there's only so many male leopards it could be, because you know whose territory that is. It's probably one of the most helpful things when it comes to IDing animals. And obviously, we look at other things, look at identifying patterns and things like that, but the the piece of information that narrows it down immediately is, where are you and whose territory is this? Oh, that's very interesting, Bob. Bob has just shared a little information about the crocodile at Victoria Falls. We can't go back to the Victoria Falls crocodile just yet, but how about we head over to the crocodile at Tau in Madikwe Game Reserve, and we can chat about the crocodile and all that's been happening. This crocodile's just heard a fantastic joke. It almost looks photoshopped in. But in fact, this crocodile is cooling itself down. Its gula fluttering. Well, it's not really fluttering at the moment, but it's exposing its gula, which is a fleshy bit inside of its mouth. It's exposing it to air. And that means that through evaporative cooling, the mouth, where the skin is very nice and thin and also moist, so it can assist in evaporative cooling, obviously. All that helps to cool the blood of the crocodile down. And as we know, reptilians are not the best at regulating their body temperature, so they've got to adopt all kinds of behavioral strategies to help them along. Now, Bob from Kalamazoo, you say you were watching the other day. He was watching the Victoria Falls cam, and the croc didn't bother any elephants. Maybe he learned his lesson. Okay, that's very interesting. So for any of you that don't know what we're talking about, a little bit of context. There has been a crocodile at the Victoria Falls camera where we just were two moves ago, and it had been attacking elephants. And this is very unusual because it was repeated attacks to no end. A crocodile is not going to be able to take down an elephant. And it was going for all different size crocodiles. So this was a very unusual behavior. It was targeting elephants, no other animals. And so we asked, if you saw anything else to add a piece to the puzzle, help us to form an idea of what's going on. Now, thinking about the clips that we looked at of the crocodile last week Thursday. It got injured a couple times. And when I say that it was attacking elephants, I mean it was holding on to trunks and being swung around. It was crazy. But it also got stomped a little bit. So I think you might be right, Bob, in that I think it might have learned its lesson. It was a difficult thing to assess. We didn't know why the crocodile was doing that. We knew that it was incredibly unusual. Most animals. Oh, there we go. Is your temperature nice and satisfactory now? Not quite? Okay. Oh, they're so sweet. So animals, particularly adult animals, they tend not to be wasteful with energy expenditure. And so it seemed odd that a crocodile or any other animal would put themselves repeatedly in harm's way. But yet that crocodile would do it. And I mean, if you look at this big crocodile right here, I don't know if it's a male or a female. It's very difficult to tell. If you look at this croc here, its whole demeanor, and I mean, we've seen this crocodile plenty times, its whole demeanor is different. I've seen the crocs here also have a fight amongst themselves, but it was as if something was really, really up with that. I was going to say wrong, but I can't say wrong because I don't know what's going on with the crocodile at Victoria Falls. But it seemed a lot more on edge. We wondered whether some past experience, negative experience with elephants, had brought on that behavior. Alright, here we go. We're back at Victoria Falls. The kudu are back. Looks like we have an egret there as well. And they're all looking at the crocodile. Okay, so the crocodile it might be the same croc we're talking about, but that crocodile can easily swim out and back into the main part of the waterhole. Very, very, very interesting. And what was, I think, the most surprising part is that it was only targeting elephants, not any other animal. I mean, there was a gray heron that landed in the water in the pathway of the crocodile as it was beelining towards elephants, and it didn't look at the bird at all. Just kept on going towards the elephants. I've never seen that kind of singling out from one animal towards another. Now, no elephants are coming down to this waterhole right now, but it would be very interesting to see what this crocodile gets up to. And the other thing is that when I do watch this camera or I see clips from this camera, that crocodile is always doing something. It's never just chilling like the other crocodile. Even now, it's not making a whole lot of movement, but it does have a kill. We saw it chomping on something earlier. And I also love that it becomes a spectacle. You know, the kudus gather around, the birds gather around, and just stare at the croc. And it is funny, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense. If you can see your danger, I would be looking right at it and keeping tabs on it. I rather get as much information about the potential threat I see than not, because then I would be vulnerable to some kind of ambush, and crocodiles are ambush predators. And I wonder if amongst the animals that visit the waterhole, this crocodile has gotten a bit of a reputation. Who knows? And it's not a particularly small crocodile either, which is why I mentioned the we're back at Oliphant's River, which is why I mentioned the energy expenditure between adults and, say, juveniles or youngsters. Adults are a lot more conservative with how much energy they spend and are not wasteful at all. But that crocodile, I mean, it may be a sub-adult. In fact, it's likely a sub-adult, but even by then, they should have learned. You can see who's definitely not being wasteful with their energy right now. Hippos. Absolutely. Mindy Tillapau, you say, Trishala, I saw a Geranook. Oh my goodness. If you don't know what a Geranook is, you need to Google it. It is a very, very odd looking creature. Very. Alright, we're back at Tao with some interesting behavior. Just going to finish Mindy Tillapau's message. You say, odd creature, looked like they stuck an antelope. Yes, they are very odd-looking creatures. They look like an impala whose neck has been stretched out. And they stand up on their back feet, their back legs as well. Very cute, very odd, very strange. But also, I'm very happy for you, Minnie, that you got to see. We don't get them here in Southern Africa, but Mindy Tillapau saw it in East Africa, in Kenya. Alright, well, what's going on here? Got two really nice kudu bulls. At first it may have looked like they were sizing each other up, but instead we see that they are actually getting some nutrients. Well, not nutrients, minerals. They are supplementing their diet by chewing the soil. It's called geophagia. They chew soil to get different minerals to supplement their diet, things like calcium, phosphorus, sodium. In fact, there's a long list. Sulfates, I think, as well. There's a long, long list of the different kinds of minerals that are present in mineral-rich soil. Different types of soil be different types of minerals. But here you can see that the soil at Tau is particularly white and chalky. So that's going to be pretty calcium-rich and salt-rich soils. And other parts of the reserve that Tau is in, the soil can be very different looking, not white and chalky at all, but instead very, very red. And those soils would be high in iron oxides. But iron and oxide, oxides, iron oxides are not something that animals really need to supplement their diet with. Calcium, sodium, definitely can be helpful if you've got some of that lying around in your environment. Bridget McKinney, you'd like to know, are there crocodiles in Olifants? Yes, there are crocodiles in Olifants River. The difference there, or why we probably don't see them as much, well, we do. It's just that they're less predictable because Olifants River is a river. It's not a confined dam or pan. So they can move very freely. Predictable areas are always nice. If you know there's a hippo that lives in this particular pan, it's always nice to, it's a nice little bit of relief for a guide, especially on a day where nothing else is happening. Maybe you haven't found lots of animals, and you still want to show your guests something. Knowing who lives where, like territories, but for water bodies, also very useful. It almost looks like they're sharing an ice cream sundae. Healthy version. Alright, Kudus, we think that you're absolutely stunning. They've still got a way to go. They still need a couple more rounds in their horns, curves. So we've headed it back up to Old Donyo now. Still watching a giraffe. Looks very much like the same giraffe. I guess it really wants that drink, despite feeling a little nervous about whatever is around. We suspect, as we discussed earlier, that it's being nervous because it's watching some people in the hide. Okay, simply. Giraffe's first line of defense when it suspects that there's a threat is very similar to what we were discussing earlier at the Victoria Falls cam, and we are looking at those kudu staring at the crocodile. A giraffe do the same thing. If it detects a threat or a potential threat, it will just stare it down. And the same goes for you as a human. If you are on foot and you know, are standing on the ground and a giraffe spots you, which it always will, having that height is really good as a vantage spot. You can see a whole lot more than others can. But if you're on foot and you walk towards it, or you not walk towards it, but if you're standing and there's a giraffe, say you hop out the vehicle and there's a giraffe there, giraffe will stare at you. If you take one step towards it, 2 steps towards it, it'll turn around and run away though. Never, ever, ever put yourself in a situation where you are on foot with potentially dangerous animals, and also keep in mind that all animals are potentially dangerous, not just those that you think are predators. Of course they're dangerous. All animals are potentially dangerous. Kaoru! Hi Kaoru! I didn't even know you were with us. I didn't see your hello, but you are. Hello! You say, why do impalas tuck their tails? I know dogs do this because they're afraid, but impala don't seem to be afraid, so why do they tuck them? So two things going on here. Excuse me. Your dog tucks its tail when it's afraid because that's a way of communicating something. It's a way of communicating that I'm being submissive. So it's not just afraid, it's submissive as well. And so you see that kind of behavior in other dog-like animals too, or other canids. You'll see a similar type of behavior. That's signaling. They're signaling to other members of their pack of the same species that they don't want any trouble. They're not being dominant, which makes sense. You know, if you're scared, you're going to say, I don't want any trouble. You can tuck your tail. Now, impalas, that's not a thing for impalas. They don't communicate in that way. They're not related to canids anyway. So movements of the tail don't mean anything to them. Or tucking of the tail, I should say, doesn't mean anything to them. So it's completely unrelated. Completely unrelated. Now, the normal position for an impala's tail is that kind of tucked position. Now, we know that impalas like to be very well groomed. Their coats are very nice and silky and taken care of, and they achieve that with the help of the same animals that this giraffe is achieving that with. The help of some oxpeckers to pull off any pests and things like that. But the other reason, or the other way that impalas do that as well, is by grooming themselves with their teeth, all that kind of thing. So, oh, look at this bull in the middle. That's a big bull. Oh, he's gorgeous. So Karu, when an impala's tail is at its normal position, it's going to look like it's tucked. But that's also very important because around a mammal's anus, well, not even just a mammal, the majority of animals that have a through gut and have an anus, around that area is very sensitive and the skin is very thin. So that means if you have a blood-sucking parasite, they're going to want to migrate to those areas where the skin is nice and soft and they have to do very little work to get to the blood. And the area around, or an anus, is perfect for that. So that's the whole point of a tail. The point of a tail is to cover it, because unlike us, the majority of mammals are not standing upright. So for us, I mean, we don't really need a tail anymore because our anus is not exposed. But for animals, it is. And so a tail helps to cover that. Apart from that, if your tail is nice and long, or longer at least than an impala's, you can swish it around, at least the, and move aside any pests. Now, the type of signaling that does matter when it comes to antelopes, in terms of the tail, is an upward movement of the tail. So that's when the tail curls towards the spine. So with the dog being afraid, the tail is curving towards the stomach, underneath it. What I'm talking about is the curling of the tail the opposite way, to reveal the underside of the tail. And that's important because the underside of many antelope, the underside of the tail is usually very stark white. And as they run, if they're scared or jumping away, they get frightened, as they run, they curl up their tail and they show that really stark, fluffy white bit underneath. Now, maybe these kudu will show us, but I doubt it. They're looking pretty relaxed. So when they show us that, the way it works, it's called flash coloration. You see it across insects as well. But the way it works is, imagine you're a predator. You've seen this kudu or an impala, and it's majority gray or brown, and you've locked eyes on it now. You're going to chase it down. So your brain is fixed on that color. There's this individual, it's that color, I'm going to chase it down. It starts running, and it shows you a stronger, more contrasting color. That's dark white. Suddenly, you focus on that color, right? Now, similar happens with locusts, or, well, with grasshoppers. A lot of them have color underneath their wings. So it could be red, sometimes it's yellow. And what they do is, as they fly away from a potential threat, you see that bright color. And then when they land, they close their wings and you can't see it again. It's the same with these kudu, or the impala. Once they stop running away from the predator, or they've hopped away sufficiently to confuse the predator with that fluffy white tail, when they land, they put the tail down, and then you can't see the white anymore. And it really acts very well to confuse predators. It can also act as what's called a follow me sign. So if they're hopping away and they have young or herd members, they can use the color of the underside of the tail to know where their mates have gone to. I love that. I love animal body language. The things that they have learned to do or not to do to communicate with each other. Prairie dog, you say you love these kudu horns. They really are spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. When I think of kudu, I feel like they're very noble. You know, there's something so strong proud and noble about Kudu. And I think Prairie Dog that the horns have a lot to do with that too. Anyway, electricity is back. I'm going to make myself a cup of tea now, and I'm going to say goodbye to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for having all these wonderful chats, asking your questions. We didn't have a whole lot going on the cams today, but a wonderful show nonetheless because of you wonderful people and your questions. I'll see you all again next week, so goodbye for now.